Welcome. This is a presentation from DIY Marketing, where we say, yes, you can. Now, roll up your shirt sleeves and get out your elbow grease. You're going to learn how to become a dynamic DIY marketer.
Hey, I'm Lauren Darr. I am coming to you today from DIY Marketing, and we are going to help you determine your right advertising mix. And so, how are we going to do that? Well, there are several elements involved. Number one, you need to think about your target market. Number two, think about what it is that you are actually advertising. And number three, of course, and of utmost importance, is your budget. So let's start with your target market. And this is the commandment of know thy customer. You need to have in mind what your ideal client is. And I even encourage people to picture your ideal client and maybe even have an artist draw that ideal client up once you've determined who that person is, and kind of hold that up as a visual to remind yourself on a regular basis who it is that you are serving in your marketplace. So what's involved in knowing your customer? Well, there are elements of demographics. You need to think about your age, the gender, the location, where in the world are they located, or are you a small business that's a brick and mortar store and your customers are ones that are passersby and coming by in your locale. Those are things you need to think about with demographics. But there's also psychographic information, and this is where you can get into the nitty-gritty of figuring out your advertising mix. What types of foods do your target people eat? How do they think about the world? What do they read? What are the websites that they visit? What kind of music do they listen to? What are the different shows that they watch? These types of things can give you some amazing insights into your ideal client and help you to determine where are the places that I need to be advertising. For example, if you are targeting a client that listens to contemporary jazz music, you don't want to be advertising on a rock band radio station. So that information is really valuable and meaty and useful in determining where you need to be advertising and helping you with that target market. This information helps you to determine what is the best media to use in your advertising mix. Is it radio? Is it television? Do you need to do online campaigns? Should you be using social media as a part of your advertising mix? Maybe it's print, like newspapers or advertising, or direct mail. There are all different kinds of things to consider with the advertising mix. And some of that target market psychographic information is vital in determining that. Also think about some of their habits. Are they ingesting multiple types of media at once? For example, are they surfing the web while they're watching the TV? And if so, what are they surfing while they're watching? Try and think about those things or get some information from a resource on that. And a lot of times there are research studies that you can purchase that can give you this information. But sometimes even just talking to your customers and finding that information out is helpful and useful also. The next thing you need to consider is, what is it that you're actually advertising? Are you advertising a product? Are you advertising a solution? Is it a program? Are you using your advertising overall just to build brand awareness? What is the purpose of your advertising? Be very clear on that. Are you advertising in a consumer trade publication or media? Or are you a B2B, which is business to business oriented? Those are things you need to consider, because that also gets to the budget, which we'll talk about in a minute. When you're determining the advertising itself, consider, are you having a sale? Is it for a limited time? And again, are you just building awareness for a particular brand, solution, service, or product? Those are the things to consider when it comes to the actual advertising itself to help you in determining the advertising mix. Lastly, and the third element, and of utmost importance, is the budget. When you're looking at your budget for your advertising mix, you need to consider your sales cycle. This will help you determine when you need to advertise. For example, if you are a person that sells Christmas lights, you don't necessarily need to be advertising those in July. When are people buying Christmas lights? Well, right before Christmas. Or if you're a big bargain shopper, you might be looking for a bargain basement price right after Christmas. But those are the things that you need to think about in your sales cycle and help you determine when you need to be advertising, and that helps to determine your budget. Some people need to advertise consistently over a year's period of time. But again, if it's a particular product or a particular sale, there might be a certain amount of time, just a small window that you need to be targeting also. Look at how much money you have to spend with your advertising mix. That's going to be a big determination in how much, how big, and how often you can advertise. Now, if you are a company that is on a limited advertising budget, I would encourage you to not purchase one great big ad, but to get as much repetition as you possibly can, because repetition is key in building brand or product awareness. Studies have shown that people have to hear a brand or a message at least 7 times before they will start to recall that in their memory. And another thing that I will throw out there at you that isn't necessarily in the marketing publications, it's something that I happened upon in a completely different area of my life, is that people tend to have 50,000 thoughts a day. So, out of curiosity, I did the math. And that means a person in a day has a thought every 1.728 seconds. And that's assuming if they consistently have a thought, not necessarily taking into consideration sleep. But when you think about the magnitude of that and 50,000 thoughts a day, that's a lot of clutter to try and break through. So you want to make sure that your advertising is maximized through your budget and you're getting as much repetition as possible and targeting your audience appropriately and being very clear on what it is that you're advertising. So there you go. Run out there and determine the right advertising mix for yourself and your company. And I welcome comments, as I always do. If you have any questions, feel free to send those in on our website. And this is Lauren Darr for DIYmarketing.tv.
This has been a presentation of DIY Marketing. Thank you for joining us. Now get out there and market, because oh yes, you most certainly can.